because maleness is too unknown to her. That's the price we end up paying for that.
Yes, sir. Why do you think physical touch is so uncomfortable for most Black men? Because I didn't realize that I was falling into that same category until like 5 years ago, where hugging my father or like my grandfather felt weird. My grandfather, he was born in the early 40s, so he grew up during that time of like sharecropping, all of that. And he could be very laid back, sweet spirit, but like when it comes to hugs, things like that, he's just very laid back with it. And then I realized other people's fathers, same way. Our brothers, we don't even hug our brothers. We just dap each other up.
Right.
We don't even say I love you.
Right.
It's just like, I see you. But instead of just saying I love you, why is that so hard for us when it comes to physical touch? Because I saw that affected me when it came to relationships. All of that as well, where I'm just too cool, laid back, all of that.
Will. Because touch insists upon vulnerability. And vulnerability is something Black men absolutely avoid like the plague. Because vulnerability means that your heart is open. Vulnerability means that the truth of who you are is about to be known. And the problem with that is that if nothing, Black manhood is a mask and a performance. And if you take off the mask, somebody's about to really see who you are. Right. And most of who we are and what we are, we will not be applauded for it, right, as men. And the other thing is, the worst thing, which is horrible, the worst thing I think most young Black boys think of that they never want to be is thought of as gay. Right. And because of that, they swing the other extreme, right? The hypermasculinity. So everything is so masculinized to the point of it being sterile. Right. And it has no real spirit and no real humanity in it. And the problem with that is we're far too homophobic as a people. But also we, at some point, I want us to get smart enough to realize that gay kids keep coming. But gay kids keep coming because God is trying to tell us, I think, that there's a particular utility of gay kids in a community, and we actually need them. That's not the same thing as tolerate. That's right. We actually need them. The problem is, ain't no parents praying for them, though. Nobody's welcoming a gay child. If people get one, they'll endure it. I don't know any parent who is praying for it and say, God, if you send me a gay child, I'd be so happy. I don't know any parents who's saying it yet. So a gay child has hell to pay because they get here and realize that none of them were beckoned, none of them were summoned, none of them were welcomed. And so they just have to endure being alive and among a people who never dreamed that they had any function.
My goodness. Dr. Black, from having friends who were gay, from having mentors, like one of my biggest mentors in my life was a gay Black man, showed me everything. And from us talking, having conversations in college for 2+ hours about how he had fears if he had a child, he wouldn't want his own son to be gay.
Right.
And
which means to be like him.
That would hurt me because I'm like, what? Because he was like all the things that he would have to go through, all of that. How do we change this in our community? Because,
it's called self-hatred.
Yeah.
And in fact, what you realize, Caleb, which is a hard pill to swallow, is I think most Black people, if they could not have Black kids, they wouldn't.
How about that?
Yeah. Because I don't want my child to struggle, which is what a lot of people say whose kids end up being gay. Well, if you don't want your children to struggle, you can't have no Black ones. Because Black kids are going to struggle in America. They're by virtue of being Black, not because something's wrong with you, right? And so I think that one of the things we need to do is to begin a campaign of touch. I firmly believe, Caleb, that if we touched Black boys, we could end the Black prison industrial complex in America. I think the touch would do it alone. If we touched Black boys, they would dream of how to please you. Yeah. I think the reason so many Black boys end up going to jail is because, and they couldn't explain it, but it's because emotionally they are untied and unconnected to anybody's heart.
Man, this is heavy, Dr. Black. One film that has everybody talking, of course, and I know everybody probably asks you about it every single day, is Sinners. But
yes.
You said something, and I was like, there you go, that the film is started and it ended in the church.
Sure.
And not too many people caught that. In this same church, though, just plenty of times people get church hurt. People's passions die. People are told that you're not good enough. Why is queerness such this taboo topic in the Black church? But then there's so many people who are same gender loving all throughout the church. But then when they show up to church, they have to hide those things.
Part of the culprit is the Bible itself, because the Bible does not celebrate queer people. In fact, the way most people read it, the Bible actually condemns them, right? And because of that, most churches, certainly Black ones too, have been using the Bible as its template, as the means and the measure by which it gets its guidance and its instructions. And part of that instruction is to absolutely to abhor, right, sexuality differences. And so I think the Bible is certainly at fault in that way. The irony is every church I've ever been to has some gay people in it, but that's because every community does, yes. Which really means in some ways the community is more fluid than the scripture, right? And what it also means is, I'm gonna just take a risk. It also means we're probably reading the wrong scripture. Yeah. That whoever wrote that didn't write it for a people as varied and as wonderful and as different and as various as Black people.
Yes, sir. Dr. Black, you once stated that when we are playing the role that's not ourselves, of somebody else, we're actually playing the role of the devil. Again, back to sinners. How do we try to fit into our true, authentic selves as Black people, Black spirits, and not trying to fit into a white world?
I think by doing a very dangerous thing, Caleb, and that is, I think we should ask ourselves and be clear, what would you do and what brings you joy if you got no money for it? If you got no money for it at all, what would you do on the earth? If the earth provided all the, you got water, you have food, but there was no income anywhere every day, what would you do? And I think most people have no answer to that question, because we have become work horses. We have become, what's the word I want to use? Robots who are performing a service. And most people define themselves by the work they do. But see, it's not the same thing. Who you are and what you do is not the same definition. So sometimes folks will say, well, who are you? And folks will say, I'm a teacher. That's not who you are. That's what you do.
That's right.
Right? Who are you? I'm a construction worker. That's not who you are. That's the work you do. Right? So too many people define themselves by the utility of the ways in which the Western world uses their body. Right? Instead of, no, who are you? Like what's your being? Like, what gift do you bring to the planet from the spirit realm? And I just think most people just never understand that and never get around to answering that question.
That's heavy. The spirit realm, right? I think about Annie in the film practicing hoodoo. I love seeing that. Unfortunately, though, throughout social media, a lot of Black Christians condemn the film, call it demonic, all of those things. But I'm like, this is what our people were actually doing. Hearing you say in the past about how basically Black spirituality was being masked in the Black church, African spirituality rather. And why is it so at this standpoint now that we have Black Christians who are anti themselves? How do we try to fix that, Dr. Black?
I think we need a new scripture.
Yeah.
No, literally.
Yeah.
We need a new scripture. The Bible is outdated in terms of its ability to articulate the complexity of Black existence. The second thing is, I think we need to overhaul the church. I don't think we should get rid of the building. We have a lot of real estate, in terms of physical real estate, literally in these buildings. But I think we need to overhaul the institution. And the third thing is we need some other institutions. The Black church is a good thing and wonderful, but we need some other institutions. We don't have enough institutions in our community. We need trauma centers, places where people can go to work out and work through trauma, right? Everybody Black I know talks about trauma and Black folks in trauma, but there's nowhere anybody can go, right, to get any trauma help. I find that so ironic, right? We need some trauma centers. We need some healing centers, right? I think we need a more varied spirituality. Like, I think there need to be places where Black people can go and learn about various forms of spirituality and various manifestations of God. Christianity's had its day, right? But like, what did our ancestors believe before they got here, right? And what belief system seems to ring true to your spirit? Not just what did grandma believe.
That's right.
So I think those things would be very helpful.
Indeed, brother. What does Black healing look like to you then, Dr. Black? Us as a people, healing the right way.
I think many of the things I just said. I think the only other thing I might add is I don't know that I think that Black men and women, I don't think grown adult Black men and women know how to be, and I don't think we've been trained to actually be friends. Like I was telling a friend this the other day, every married man I know, all his friends are men.
That's a good observation, yeah.
And most women want them to be. We don't trust grown men with other women. Women don't trust them, men don't trust them, right? That's a sad thing. That a grown man can't have a dear close friend who is a woman. That's a problem, I think. And what it means is when it comes time for us to build together, right? Our relationships are very, very, very elementary, if existing at all.